Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Peace Fund Radio with Ethan Dettenmaier and Adrian Paul, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Well, another beautiful morning in Los Angeles, wouldn't you say, Ethan?
Fantastic.
Yes, I think it's fabulous. Actually, I came in this morning and I was expecting a lot of traffic, and there was nothing really there. I was kind of. How about you? How was your morning drive in this morning?
Terrible. Next question.
Oh, good. Okay, then. Well, we'll leave that one alone. How was your week?
Fantastic.
Now, that's a better answer.
Well, I wasn't in traffic all week.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of an autograph book tour, so it's been a lot of fun.
What's the book tour?
First of two. I'm doing this one with Disney Imagineer Bob Gurr. See, I only see you around the studio these days, so you don't know these things, do you?
No, it's all this. This is our weekly meet. It's our meet and greet, and we kind of fill in the stuff in the morning.
I already knew about it. I didn't realize I hadn't said anything.
No, I mean, no. You keep these things secret. You don't have a Facebook page, do you?
No, you don't have a Facebook page.
Well, actually, I do. I do actually have a Facebook page, but I have people run it for me, so it's a slightly different.
There's going to be a disconnect there.
Yeah, I guess between you and I. But actually, I get messages. I see messages that come through. You know.
I'm glad. So I've been doing that, and then doing a lot of live broadcast work and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a busy week for me. I just launched the Sword Experience this week.
Right. I was going to actually. You've launched it. I thought you already launched it.
No, we launched on Friday last week.
Out here?
We launched here. Yeah, we launched it here.
So where is it out here? Is it a regular thing?
No, it will be events that we will take people to monthly to start with. We have one in Houston, one in Minneapolis, there's one in Los Angeles at the end of March, beginning of April. We're just finalizing location. Obviously, with locations, you have a different. You have an issue with locations sometimes because they don't always play ball when you want them to. I want it on this.
What location?
Booked.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking at a couple of different ones.
You need a lot of space, don't you?
Yeah, about 6,000 square feet. It depends on the amount of people. Usually, we're talking about 50 people here. It's probably around 5,000, 6,000 square feet. If there's less people, there's less space. And we've been looking at some, because the Sword Experience is something a little different. It's basically, it started with us helping a child last year, and that's how it started. That's how it evolved into now what is the Sword Experience today. And it really starts with giving people an experience, not just about playing swords, because there's the cosplay people, there's the sword people, there's the martial artists, there's the fans of different genres, which all can come to the Sword Experience because it's going to be a different experience every time. One's going to be at the top of the mountain, another one's going to be in the snow, another one's going to be on the beach, another one's going to be in an amazing location. So it's kind of a different experience for people.
So are you doing this based out of Los Angeles, where people can sign up monthly and get a Sword Experience quarterly or every
we be running them. I might even be running one in Germany and one in London as well. So they'll be kind of fun.
Have you told all the fencing schools that you're doing this?
Well, this is where we're starting. We've got we got our social media team. I've got my merchandising team and all that sort of working together and getting
on a logo.
Oh, I've got the logo. Logo's up there. The logo's already done.
That was
registered.
The last discussion I think we had on it. Was we were trying to decide which logo was going to be the official stamp.
Well, we got our logo. That's been up there now for a little bit, and it seems to be going very well. But and eventually it's going to be taken into companies for we did it for Microsoft, and we did it for the charity for. So it would be a charitable event because Microsoft has an interesting program where they actually match donations. Any employee that has more than $25 donation, Microsoft will match if it's a charitable donation. So we were able to raise money for the charity at the same time. So that's what I'm looking to be able to do, is take it into organizations that actually have matching funds and run it as a charitable event as well. So
walk me through this. As a guy that survived Warner Brothers Studios, your program is what? You can sign up and fence with you and fight you, or what?
No, it's not. It's not that. It's basically to learn a whole choreographed number, and you get to learn movement. You get to learn. It's an exercise as well. It's not let's just bang two swords together. It's a whole. You figure out how to use a sword, where to use it, what the movement is. It gives you some exercise. It's a lot of fun. You get to play with different people. You sword fence with different people. I pair people up, and I go to everybody individually.
Really?
Yeah. So
how exciting!
It's a 4 or 5 hour program, and it's kind of fun.
4 or 5 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that really is an experience. When is the first one out here?
The first one here is going to be in at the end of March, beginning of July, beginning of April. And as I said, we're just finalizing location right now, so that's why I'm saying around that date.
Well, location aside, where can people who are hearing this, jump on and
Well,
sign
go
up?
to theswordexperience.com.
Theswordexperience.com.
The Sword Experience. Even if you type in Sword Experience, it'll still take you to the same place.
Very exciting.
Yes. Well, listen, let's get on with the show because we got a lot of stuff to talk about this morning. We have a guest in the studio this morning who I was introduced to by a fantastic lady, Kate Moline, who does a lot of stuff for charity. We have good morning, Jess. How are you?
Good morning.
We need to put the mic up a little bit there. Jess, you were a Harvard lawyer originally.
Recovering.
Went to Wharton. You've worked at Drexel. You're now the managing director of an investment of the alternatives of an investment firm called TCW, which runs 180 billion, give or take. Yeah, in assets. You're chairman of the board of Cherokee and ALJ, which is a diversified public holding company. But most importantly, you are the founder of Tia's Hope, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Tia's Hope.
Sure. Tia was my wife, and she battled cancer from 2001 to 2012, and unfortunately, she passed away in March of 2012. And we had 4 daughters. We have 4 daughters. And my daughters and I started Tia's Hope in memory of Tia, and also to carry on what she did while she was alive. She spent a lot of time in the hospitals, and we would walk around as those who have our caregivers and have loved ones in the hospitals know. You're hooked up to all the machines, but they always want you to get up and walk around. And we would walk around, and Tia was always saddened by seeing kids in the hospital. Even if they were getting better, they still lost part of their youth. And we combined that with Tia would hug our daughters, hug me, and often look out at a beautiful sunset or a whale breaching and say, "This is a memory moment. You're going to remember this moment. You don't need a photograph. It's just in your brain, and you'll remember it." So we took that and ran with it. And what we try and do is create memory moments for children who have to spend part of their youth in the hospitals.
I really sympathize with you. I mean, I've not had a child in a hospital, although it kind of touches me every time I talk to people that have been through that and are constantly battling that. And I look at my child, and you saw my daughter because she came into the show this morning.
Yep.
And, what I tend to do is I tend to look at her and go, how would I feel, seeing her in that position? And I think that's something that I want to make a difference. Why I've always wanted to make a difference is we are so lucky when we ourselves are not put into that position, and we can never really feel it until we actually are in that position. And I find that a lot of our heroes of the week are actually in the same way. They do something when they are touched by that. When you started Tia's Hope, who was it that wanted to start? Was it one of your daughters or was it you?
It was a group effort, and Tia had spent a lot of time out at City of Hope, and we had decided that we would try and do what we thought it was a good idea. That we would create these care packages. As you know, children with cancer, grown-ups with cancer, they often lose their hair. They want to have something that's really soft to wear. And Tia was great. She would make these. She would wear caps. Sometimes she was very happy being bald, but she would wear caps, and she would often tie in like braids to the bottom of the caps and Velcro them in, so it looked like she was just wearing a cap over it, and she had all these different designs. And so we thought that we would create these care packages, Tia Hope care packages, that we would give out and to 500 patients. We started at 500 patients at City of Hope, and in it was a really soft cap, a really soft shirt, a $75 gift card, and something about Tia. And then we would tie that together with having, depending what the hospital needed, at City of Hope, it was a Halloween party and a Christmas party. And we did that for the first time in 2013. And we didn't really know what we were doing. We went out to the hospital. We met with some of the administrators. My daughter Zoe and I went and we talked about it. And we said, okay, this is what we would like to do. We have the volunteers. We have the money. We have the ideas. And what do we need to do? And they said, we're done. It's good. Let's go do it. And so we did it, and the reaction was great. And so the second year, in 2014, we added a hospital up in Rochester, New York. And then last year, we added 6 more hospitals. So now we're at 8 hospitals, 4,000 families.
That's awesome.
And it's growing.
Let me ask you a question. Obviously, no parent wants to see their child sick. And I think a lot of parents shield their children from knowing that they're sick. But I think, a kid really needs to know what's happening and why. And it's because part of their body's sick, not something wrong with them, because I think that's something that is another psychological thing for a child. We talked earlier on during the show about a child experiencing something good so that they can heal through that. And I think that's the same way of actually being able to tell a child, shielding them from the information that from that type of information often backfires on them, because they tend to use their imaginations and may create something more scarier than it actually really could be, because that child has an imagination. That's what kids do fantastically, is create imaginations for themselves. So looking at my notes here, they say that, you should tell a youngster something of that nature one day ahead of each year that the child of the year of their age. In other words, if a child is 5 years old, tell them 5 days before and be honest, simple, and don't sugar it. Just basically concrete, tell them what it is, and don't use make-believe words. Just tell them the whole facts, so that when kids hear the real terms, they can kind of deal with it in their own way. Have you found any of that to sort of be true, or what's your feeling?
Well, I mean, there's a saying, there's no secrets. There's only things we don't talk about. And so the kids know what's going on. And it's up to each parent to obviously discuss with their children what they feel is appropriate. I can only talk about how T and I raised our children. And we tried as much as possible to be the parents that accepted what was happening and then gave them comfort that it would be better. For example, when our daughters would fall, we weren't the parents that picked them up and said, oh, that didn't hurt. We would say, boy, that must have hurt, because they knew it hurt. And we would lose their confidence if we said, boy, that didn't hurt. They were saying, boy, it does hurt, and you're lying to me. And so by saying it does hurt and then saying, but you're going to be okay, it did 2 things. It, 1, built up credibility as parents, and then 2, gave them comfort that they'd get better. As children get sicker, it's a fine line between how much you tell them, how much they can really understand, and again, it's very personal, from parent to child and the age of the child.
Yeah, I want to go back to something you just said. I think it's very important to sort of explain to a child. And my wife is always saying to me, look, my son's 3.5, my daughter's 6, and when they fall down or when something happens and they find that it's extremely important, whether it's like a pencil didn't work or something, don't laugh it off. You should really, because to them it's a big deal.
It is.
It's a huge deal. For us, we're like, well, it's just a pencil, But and to the same degree, you're looking at that as a child, creating that moment of being in a hospital, and they're creating their own reality in that sense. So we have to understand, I think, and like you said, talk to a child and say, okay, I understand it's hurting, but here's the solution for you. And I think that's good parenting from my point of view anyway.
And it gets more difficult as it gets, obviously falling down. It's easy for most people to say, boy, that hurt, and yes, it will get better. As they get diseases, it becomes more and more difficult. And even for grown-ups, Tia had a specific type of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I'm just, a nerdy guy, that likes studying. And I studied about it, and I knew her cancer really well enough that I could speak, the language of the doctors. And other patients would often come up and say, oh, you're a doctor, can you tell me what's going on? And and I would say, with their own issue. And I'd say, I'm sorry, I only really know one thing. I know it well. And we thought about, before we went on our mission, which is to create memory moments, we thought about, there's another big need, which is to somehow have a doctor-to-patient dictionary, to be able to explain to patients what the doctors are saying in a way that they can understand it. And the doctors are doing great things, and a lot do, but sometimes the patients are afraid to ask; they're embarrassed, you know, and that's something that would be an adjunct.
It's interesting. You just said something. I have some very good friends that are doctors, and I remember years ago when I was at a wedding of one, we were in Hawaii, and one of them happened to fall through my screen, the mosquito screen, and cut his hand open badly. Now, everybody else's reaction, oh my God, your hand, it's really bleeding. The doctor's reaction was like, well, we'll need a suture, well, da-da-da-da-da. And they're technical terms, which we as lay people don't necessarily understand or deal with in the same way a doctor deals with it. So to the same degree, when you have a hospitalization unit, I mean, doctors talk a different language, as do nurses. And I think for us, having a dictionary in a sense as the translation mightn't be a bad idea.
I'm in finance, and I watched The Big Short with some people the other day, and every 10 minutes they were saying, what does that term mean? So I think it's not unique to doctors. It's unique to anyone in the business.
Correct, yeah.
And if you're doing it all day, you get shorthand. And the difference is that if I can't explain finance well, nobody's going to be that upset. But if somebody can't explain their illness well to a patient or a patient's loved ones, they get frustrated. But
also, you said something about when you're there, people feel embarrassed. I think it's also a feeling they don't have control. They don't know how to. The children and the parents lose control because they don't know how to deal with that situation. So they're kind of lost when they get into that hospital situation. And I think there are ways. I mean, looking at different things here, how you should deal with a situation if your child is admitted to a hospital. There are things you can do to make that transition or that time or that stay a little easier. Here they're talking about if the admission is planned and time permits, arrange a tour of the pediatric unit with your child so he or she can meet some of the staff, see the rooms and different things. And some hospitals even have great playrooms. Did you find that a lot of the hospitals in the pediatric units have those?
Yeah. Again, Tia went in as an adult, so we're my personal experience with Tia, excuse me, was not as a parent and a child. But going around to the 8 hospitals that we've been dealing with, they're very cognizant of 2 things. One, allowing the family to be comfortable, upon the admittance and understanding what's going on. But they get feedback also. A lot of them have teen committees where, patients who unfortunately had to spend a decent part of their childhood have become the advisory committee. And that's the best, sounding board, because they're saying, you may think this was good, but this really wasn't good when we were there. And that I think is a best practice. And I talk about that with other hospitals that we go to.
There's a hospital in Philadelphia. It's a children's hospital, Philadelphia, that has... Sorry?
CHOP.
CHOP? They have a Kids Health Galaxy website, which I think is kind of interesting, where kids themselves can use another tool to ease their worries. They tour the school's hospital in that way. And there's a section explaining, some of the common medical procedures. So you should actually check to see if your hospital has something of that nature. I think it's a great idea because it does allow them some sort of connection. Today, kids work on the internet and mobile phones, etc., ad nauseum. So, I mean, for them to that's kind of their world now. So for them to sort of understand it in that way may actually help them in that process of actually getting admitted.
That's correct.
The other thing here is inquire if the facility has a child life specialist. This is an individual, usually a nurse or another professional, who specializes in working with children who are hospitalized and their families to minimize stress and confusion. They basically offer support, guidance, information before and during the hospital stay. So you can also ask to speak to this person if one exists. So check with your hospital to see if somebody like that exists. And if not, ask to speak to the nurse manager, one of the staff nurses on the pediatric unit beforehand or during the child's stay for suggestions on how to make your hospital stay as comfortable for your child as possible. Are there a lot of you're dealing with 8 hospitals right now, and you're probably going to grow very quickly because we know each other very briefly from the poker night we had that evening, which was fantastic, by the way. I came in second.
It was fun.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thank you very much. Did you? I think you're going to grow, and I think you're going to do it because I think somebody has passion in doing something, I think they're going to be able to do it. And obviously, when you're touched by something, you're going to be much more successful in doing it.
And I do want. We have I am a victim of my past in a sense. I'm a business person. So when I looked at raising money and being in starting a charity, I used a business model, a franchisee model. And so we can grow fairly quickly. And the way we do it is we partner with hospitals where somebody has a connection, somebody wants to be the lead volunteer. In essence, somebody franchises that area. And they then take it upon themselves because they have a vested interest in making it succeed. Mm-hmm. And at corporate, which is now my daughter Zoe is the interim director, we take care of making sure all the supplies are there and all the credit cards show up and all the hats and all the shirts. And then the local volunteers do the parties. We help oversee it, but they are in charge of it, and they care about it. It's their hospital. And so we can grow from 2 to 8 this year because we have a local volunteer group at each of the hospitals. And so our poker tournament's coming up in
I was going to ask you about that.
About a week and a half. And at that, we figure out how much money we have for the next year and how many new hospitals we can add. And I say, if anyone has a connection with a hospital and you want to be the lead volunteer, we'd love to come to your city, your hospital.
So tell me a little bit about the poker event. I mean, can anybody join into the poker event? I mean, I know it's your annual fundraiser.
Yeah. It's a little different than, I think it's better than most, but it's a little different than other poker events. It's held in Las Vegas. Harrah's Caesars Corporation has been extremely generous to us. Our first year, was 2014. We held it at Caesars at the Poker Room. They give us a big suite to have a cocktail party. I'm connected with a show there called Absinthe, which is the number one show in Vegas, right. And we take 250 of the players to the event. And then the second year, we moved it over to Planet Hollywood, which is also a Harrah's Caesars property. And this year we're at Bally's, and we are actually part of the World Series of Poker listed events. It is open to everyone, and the reason why it's a little different is we pay $60,000 in cash prizes. You don't win a bicycle or
That's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of people who don't know how to play poker. We have a lot of people who go there and say, boy, for a $500 entry fee, first prize is $25,000. They come to play poker, but they're supporting us regardless. And this year we added a new thing, 2 new things actually. One is we have 7, and hopefully we'll have 10 pros. Antonio Esfandiari is our host, but we have a number of pros that have agreed to come, and they're all bounties, and they wear a hoodie. Right. Cherokee helped us, and they created a custom-made hoodie which says, Poker for Hope, which is the name of our poker tournament, and then it would say, I knocked out Antonio Esfandiari. And he wears it, and when you knock him out, you get this, and he signs it. And he says, yes, Adrian, you knocked me out. I can't believe you went in. That, for a poker player, is more valuable.
It's huge, yeah, it is huge, yeah, it is.
And then we were fortunate, a local jeweler here in Beverly Hills, 14 Carats, donated our first Poker for Hope bracelet. And it's Actually, I saw it that night. You were showing it at the event. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fun event.
So tell me, where can you find the entry to the poker, and what's the buy-in, and what's the structure?
So if you go to tiashope.org, there's a link to the poker tournament. And the poker tournament is on Saturday, March 5th at 6 o'clock. That's when cards go in the air. There is a $1 million guarantee World Series of Poker event that afternoon at noon, same place at Bally's. So a lot of people are going to go over early and play. The night before, for people that enter, you get 2 free tickets to Absinthe, the 8 o'clock show. So Friday the 4th, a lot of people are going to come in on Friday, go to see the show. Saturday, hang out or play poker, and at 6 o'clock, cards are in the air.
Awesome. Let's get back. Okay, so we got the poker part, we got the fundraising. Let's get back to what it's for. I think because I think that's the important part. Because we're talking about bringing hope to children in hospitals, and how things such as coloring books and some activity. I think for parents, they should know that they should be bringing items like this into a hospital, DVDs, although sometimes electronic items are not admissible in hospitals, which we forget about because it's part of our day.
It's ubiquitous.
Yeah.
We have a program where we do give out iPads at the hospitals. Sometimes they go to the individual patient. Sometimes they go to the playroom, just depending what the hospital needs. And the letters we get back, it's living in Los Angeles, on the west side of Los Angeles. Sometimes you don't understand the needs of everyone as much as you should. I'm talking for myself. And the letters I get back, they're so touching. I mean, the $75 gift card, some people write and they say, oh, it allowed us to buy a present that we couldn't buy. And some people say, I used it to pay my gas bill. And it allowed us to do something else. And it really makes a big difference. And so what we work with the hospitals to figure out who, and right now we're at 500 patients per hospital. And we're thinking about next year whether we go to more hospitals or we just go to more patients per hospital, of how to impact not just the patient's life but the family's life, because illness is a family issue.
It is, yeah.
I mean, that clearly the patient who's in there, whether they're young or old, is affected, but the entire nuclear family is affected, and we want to deal with that. So we do parties around the holidays. I am a really bad artist. I am a really bad singer. I have really no talent in that, but I like sand art. And because everything looks
isn't
good
that amazing? It's amazing, yeah.
And my kids, if they're listening, are cringing because I talk about it all the time. But nobody can make a bad sand art, thing. And so we have sand art at all the events. And sometimes the siblings, they'll say, I'm going to do this for my mom because we didn't have time to buy a Christmas present this year because my brother's in the hospital. And so we're trying to impact the entire family and just make it a little bit better.
Do you find that, some of the research shows that, when a child is depressed, the healing process isn't as quick. And I think programs such as yours actually assist that process, but also, like you said, assist the family unit as well, because I think, it does touch everybody in that family. It's not just an isolated incident. We had we've had some amazing kid heroes in the week, and I'm going to be bringing on John Billy in a second to bring another one to us this week. But it's really when one of the children is sick in there. It needs the whole support of the family and the community as well sometimes, whether it is the extended family, the friends and family, to actually be able to deal with this. And I think sometimes knowing what that issue is or being in contact with that family when that child is going through it is also very important.
Yeah, and having things to look forward to as well as memories of good things in the past. So what we try and do is balance those two. We create memory moments, but we keep in touch with the kids. We try and, if they couldn't make, for example, this year, one thing we did talk about is this year we're fortunate enough we added sporting events to what we bring to the hospitals. And through relationships of people on the board and through my relationships, we were fortunate that USC was very welcoming to us for our first event. They let the kids go on the field. They meet the cheer girls. And those moments, those memories, hopefully these kids go to lots and lots of USC games. Mm-hmm. But they'll always remember the time they went down onto the field. And then last night we actually were at the Kings. Luke Robitaille and the Kings were gracious enough, that one of our patients got to ride the Zamboni.
Yeah.
The ice crew came up and took pictures. And again, it's one of those nights that they'll always remember. And then one of our board members has a relationship with Major League Baseball, and we've actually partnered now with the Players Association, where we have hospitals in Houston, New York, and L.A. We have hospitals elsewhere too, but they don't have Major League Baseball teams. Where we have hospitals where there are Major League Baseball teams, they do a program called Buses for Baseball, where they wrap a bus and they come and bring children out to the game. Mm-hmm. And in the cities where we have hospitals, they're going to partner with us, and they're going to bring T.S. Hope children out to the game. Players meet the bus. They go on the field. They go to batting practice. It becomes an event where they will look back and always know that was a special event. And getting to your point, we usually invite 8 patients and 16 family members. So each patient can come with their family because, again, 1, it is a family illness. But 2, memories are better shared when you look at a picture and you know the people in the picture and they're not, what do we have in common? We were all in the hospital. Well, that's really not the bond that I have. Right. What do I have in common with this? These are my parents, or these are my brothers, or these, and so we make it a family event on all of our
I also want to thank you on behalf of my electrician who's working on my house right now, whose daughter is suffering from cancer. And,
he was there last night.
He was there last night. Yeah, and I thank you for him and his entire family, because I'm sure he had a fantastic time. And because we also deal with another organization called Kimberly Moore Foundation, who has an Adopt a Letter program. And Adopt a Letter basically is similar in a sense, because at Christmas time there are a lot of children that send in letters to Santa, and it ends up at the post office central sorting house down in, I think it's, I want to say Compton. It's somewhere in that area. And she was hospitalized as well, and she found all these kids that had these letters that said, we need gas for food, we need food, we need, or other ones were, I want to go to Disneyland. So one year we did that, and we found tickets for Disneyland. I went and delivered the presents and these gifts to kids that had nothing. And the thing that I saw, which I thought was really important, there was one girl I remember. She was a single mother with 3 children. She had a 2-year-old, a 6-year-old, and I think a 10-year-old. And she promised her kids forever to take them to Disneyland. Now you think, okay, well, it's Disneyland. Isn't that a waste of money to do? And I realized then that it wasn't.
No.
Because that memory that those children have of going to Disneyland that one day as a family would stick with them for such a long period of time, and give them something like, do you know what? I went to Disneyland. It was amazing, And I think that's what
it's
Tease
like I
Hopes
said,
as well.
it's the front and the back end of it. The kids last night were saying that they've been looking forward to this for a month. They knew about it a month ago, and so it gives them hope to go forward, and they're looking forward to that day. And then afterwards, they can look back and say, even if it's if in the future they have a bad day, they can look back and say, that was a good day. I'm going to get there again. I'm going to have that good feeling again.
They got a goal.
Yeah.
Let's bring in John Beerley. John, are we there and been listening? I'm sure you have.
We are. Good morning, Adrian and Ethan, and Jess. Welcome to Peace Fund Radio. We're honored to have you on, sir.
Thank you.
So, John, you've been listening to us this morning, and I know that you've got a Hero of the Week that you're going to be bringing in. What do you have for us this morning?
I do. On today's Hero of the Week segment, we are going to check in with a friend we first met on our April 24th, 2013 show. Her name is Jen Rubino, and her own experiences with multiple hospitalizations and multiple surgeries inspired Jen to found Cards for Hospitalized Kids, which you can find at cardsforhospitalizedkids.com, to spread hope, joy, and magic to hospitalized kids across America through handmade cards sent by kids and groups from around the globe. You can also follow Jen on Twitter at Jen Rubino, JenRubino. And Jen is going to join us here shortly with some updates about what she's been up to.
So, shall we get her on the line, Ethan? Let's see if we can call Jen and see what she's been up to. Again, Jess, some of these kids are 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, and I find that so inspiring to me as a person, that kids don't know what no is. Yep. As you go through life, you get, no, you can't do this. No, your finger went into the socket and it burnt. So you have these barriers. Children don't have those barriers. There's nothing, and so that's why I like bringing these kids on and hearing what they do. Do we have her yet?
No.
Just for those of you out there, remember, when you do go to hospital, one of the things, many hospitals allow parents or guardians to sleep overnight in the child's room in some circumstances. So you might want to inquire if this is something you might want to do. The nurse can advise you on that. And the other thing you should do is also read to your kids. Especially to younger children in the hospital. These are available in the bookstores and libraries that even the hospital will have. They might have it even in the hospital gift shop. So discuss how the children in the story feel and how they're coping. Connect with your child, connect with them to make them understand that it's not something wrong with them. It's just something that they've got to get over, and they can do so in a period of time with your help. So that every child and every family, as well as in every situation, remember, is very different. So you have to deal with it in the situation that you're in. Do we have Jen on the phone yet?
Yes. Hi.
Jen, good morning.
Good morning, Jen.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're very well. Where are you calling us from? Because we're in sunny Los Angeles.
Okay, I'm at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C.
You're in Washington, and how is it over there at the moment?
It's actually not too bad. It's a little bit warmer, which is nice. So it's been a nice change.
What are you studying?
I'm studying international relations and government.
International relations in government. So you founded Cards for Hospitalized Kids. So tell us a little bit how that works.
Yeah, well, basically, we're a charity that we distribute handmade cards to children that are being treated in hospitals across the country. We distribute regular cards every month, and then also holiday cards on all major holidays. And the cards are made by people around the country who send them into us for distribution.
And let's start from the beginning. What inspired you to start this program?
Yeah, well, when I was 11, I was diagnosed with a pretty serious medical condition. So throughout my life since then, I've spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital. And I really saw firsthand how difficult it is to, be going through that, especially as a child. And I also saw how amazing a card can make you feel. And so I wanted to be able to do that for other kids that were suffering.
You said you were 11. How old are you now?
I'm 21.
21. So you've been doing this for 10 years.
Well, I got sick when I was 11, but I started Cards for Hospitalized Kids when I was 16.
When you were 16. So how has the process gone? How did it start, and where's it gone to? What sort of reach do you have now?
It started as a really local group, mostly in my community, but now it's grown into an absolutely amazing organization with a presence across the country and really card-making supporters around the world that send cards to us. And every year it continues to grow. The number of cards that we receive is just amazing. It blows my mind. It's been incredible.
So what happens? Somebody brings in and says, "Look, I've got a card. You can give it to a child." How does it work?
Well, we work with the child life departments at each hospital, and we send the cards to them, and then the child life specialist will give them to either the child's parents, or they'll distribute them to the child themselves. Or if we're at the hospital, we'll distribute them personally. And it really brightens the kids' days, and it's really incredible. So
it's actually because we have another organization sitting with us. Have you been listening to the show this morning?
Yeah, I have a little bit. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously there are organizations that do similar things. I think the focus is the same, but I think brightening a child's focus and life in a hospital situation, as well as the family. I mean, how does it? Does you give it solely to the child, right? Now, does the family see any difference in the child when they receive a card like this?
Yeah, absolutely. We hear from families constantly just how much it brightens the child's day and how much it lifts their spirit. And having that happen really lifts up the family spirit as well. And so it really makes a difference for the family as well. And a lot of the families, keep in touch with us. I'm still in contact with some families that received cards like back in 2011 or 2012. And so I think that shows how big of a difference it makes.
Well, we were just talking with Jess this morning about how a moment like that can be kept for a very long time, and I think you've just basically told us the same thing. Even a simple thing as a card, they keep in contact with you because that moment was, maybe very pivotal in brightening that child's day. How many cards have been sent by your organization over the years, do you think?
Now we send out about 20,000 a year or so, or 30,000. So it continues to grow. So I would say probably close to like 80,000 now. So quite a few. Wow.
How do you manage to organize all that? I mean, that's a lot of cards.
Yeah. I'm really fortunate that we have a great team of volunteers back in Chicago. That's been especially really helpful as I've transitioned to college. We just have an amazing group of people that help us and that are committed to our cause. And so especially in the last year, Cards for Kids has really grown beyond what I would have ever expected. So having just people that want to help us and help us continue to get all the cards out, it's really amazing.
Now, Jen, as you've traveled around and visited hospitals and met with kids, what are some of the most common things that you hear from children who are hospitalized?
Yeah, well, in addition to the physical challenges, kids are, it's very isolating. It's a very lonely experience. They really miss their friends. They really miss just having those childhood experiences. And, they really just are struggling in that aspect as well. And so being able to do something to lift up their spirits and show them that they're not forgotten, it really makes a big difference.
Are there any recent stories that really sort of touched you?
Yeah, I would say one story that really touched me recently was we were giving a card to a child who has a medical condition that prevents her from speaking. And she's in a wheelchair and she's paralyzed from most of her body, but she's able to move a little bit and her family told us that she does that when she gets excited. And when we gave her the card, she started doing that, and seeing that just made her family so excited, and it was just really incredible.
Yeah. It's I was talking to Jess earlier about, when you see your child and you realize, how lucky you are when a child is not in hospital. But then to see a child that has some joy when they are in hospital, must, really touch a parent's heart, as well as, volunteers such as yourself, and organizations such as yourself, that what they're doing really does work.
Yeah, absolutely. I can say both from my personal experience as a patient and then also in my experience with my charity. It's extremely difficult for parents when their child is suffering and there's nothing that they can do. And so being able to see them have a little bit of joy, even if it's from something that seems simple, it really just brightens their day and makes a lasting impact on them. Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead, John. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, I know, Jen, that you said you're always very busy around the holidays. You just had Christmas and Valentine's Day. Are those some of the bigger projects you've done lately, or do you have had any other big events where you've had a pretty large influx of cards?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the holidays are always still our biggest time of year. Christmas is definitely the biggest one. Valentine's Day is another one. Thanksgiving. So we continue to do that. And then also, in the last few years, we've started to get a lot more schools involved. And so now we continue throughout the school year to have schools just all across the country doing card-making events and sororities at colleges and just all different types of school groups. And so that's helped us really increase the number of cards that we get during non-holiday times. And so that's been really helpful because I think it's important for kids to be able to get this, not just during the holidays, but also during regular times of the year as well.
And also some Olympic athletes I see have been involved from your website.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been lucky to have a lot of different celebrities and Olympians involved, people like Allie Raisman, Jordan Weaver, Lauren Conrad. It's really amazing because especially for the kids to be able to receive an autograph from someone like that, it makes them feel special and it gets them so excited, and it's really amazing.
It's fantastic.
So what are the goals for CFHK?
Just to continue to expand it, continue to, increase the number of cards that we receive, continue to, reach more kids, continue to reach more hospitals, and just continue to, be able to brighten these kids' days in as many ways as we can. And
where can the listeners go to if they want to help? If there's a sorority or a school that might want to help, or a hospital staff even that might want to get involved, where can people go to find more about it? People can go to our website, cardsforhospitalizedkids.com, and on there you can find the instructions for making cards. And if a hospital, is interested in receiving cards, or somebody knows a child that could use a card, we also have a referral form on our website, so they could use that as well. Well, Jen, thank you for joining us this morning. Continue the good work, and I mean, you are part of this week's Hero of the Week segment, and obviously we met you, we heard about you 2 years ago. I can't believe it's more than 2013.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh,
2013.
Oh wow, that's John has talked about you many times, but as we can see, things have grown, and I'm sure they will continue to grow. And please keep up the good work. And obviously, our job is also to let listeners and other organizations know about the work people do, and that's where partnerships happen. And I think that's very important. So, Jen, thank you for joining us this morning. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you. Thanks. So, I mean, again, it's a simple program, and I think, but it obviously has effect on kids. I mean, Jess, you were talking earlier on about how that moment of a kid, really changes that kid's perspective.
And especially, when they don't expect it. I analogize it to, I don't know where you grew up, but back east you have school days, snow days every now and then. Saturday and Sunday, you're off. But the joy of a kid when they wake up on Wednesday and they see that it snowed and they don't have school is really great. And so when we give out gifts, or when Jen gives out cards and the child didn't expect to get it that day, that's an added bonus. It's not Christmas. It's not their birthday. It's just a regular day. It can really change around, their mood.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of my board members actually has a non-birthday day every month for his kids, and it's time for him to spend, which I think is a great idea. It's a great bonding moment for him to spend with his kid. They go out, they spend the afternoon together, whatever. Because a lot of time you have a birthday, but it's the way to connect with a child. And I happened to have a meeting with him yesterday, and he said that's kind of falling apart now. But I kind of look at it as a building with the scaffolding. The scaffolding was the non-birthday, but now I don't spend as much time with them. But I've already instilled that scaffolding doesn't need to be there anymore, and now we've supported them in life. And I think doing that with children in hospital, etc., does the same thing.
I agree.
So Before, God, it's already 45 minutes. I can't believe 5 minutes left. We do this every day, every week. We get through this. How does this show not? It's gone by so quickly. What else do you have for us to start with, John? What do you have for us this morning?
Well, very quickly, I wanted to reiterate something that Jess had said earlier in the show. Visit tiashope.org, TIAShope.org. You can click on the yellow Register for Poker for Hope 2016 button in the top corner of the page. Also in the top corner, there's a button called Memory Moments. I urge everyone to click on that. You can see pictures and read stories of some of the moments and events that Tia's Hope has brought to so many kids at so many hospitals. And you can also find out how you can load up your own Tia's Hope card to create a memory moment for a child in need. As for Peace Fund news, you can always check us out at thepeacefund.org. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, The Peace Fund and Peace Fund Radio. Follow Adrian at AdrianPaul1. Follow Ethan at Combat Radio. And Jess, is your organization on Twitter as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Twitter at Tia's Hope Moments.
We'll have all those links, etc., put onto the site once we finish the show. Obviously, we have the breakdown of the show every week. It will be on our Peace Fund Radio site. Actually, we have a new site coming, but I'm not going to say anything because I keep swearing to people that it's going to turn up, and it hasn't for a while. But anyway,
it will. It'll make it. And also, if you're listening out there, you would like to support Peace Fund Radio, you can go to thepeacefund.org, click on our supporter wall, and for a donation of $250 or more, you can sponsor an episode, dedicate it to a friend or a loved one in memory of someone special, and we will read your dedication on the air.
Children heal faster when they are surrounded by their family. It is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. A family's love is really good medicine. It's not a airy-fairy type of story. It's actually based on a study published in Families, System and Health, and based on a journal of the American Psychological Association, who found that families who stay together for even a portion of their seriously ill child's hospital stay believe their ability to stay nearby help their child recover and spend less time in the hospital, which also helps you because it gives you less bills, because you know hospital stays are very expensive. This is the first published research to explore the role of family accommodation in enhancing the family experience. It's a psychosocial well-being and perceptions of child recovery for hospitalized, seriously ill children. So remember, when your child goes into hospital, even though you should do everything you can to first of all make that your child very aware that this is a temporary stay, or to help that child through that stay by doing certain things like reading, like finding the websites for the hospital to find out things that they can do in the hospital, finding a recreation room that they might have. All those things help them feel less isolated and more, I hate the word normal, but more normalized, if you like, while they have that hospital stay. Jess, we've got 2 minutes left to go. Let's tell one more thing. You got the fundraiser coming up again. I just want to remind people we've got the fundraiser happening again. Give us the dates again on that.
It's Friday, March 4th and Saturday, March 5th. The show Friday, March 4th is at Caesars. If you go to the website and you want to sign up, just list Adrian as the reference, and we'll make sure you get tickets because we are limited on how many tickets we have left for the show. Saturday is...
You say my weight? My name pulls weight?
Yeah. Until March 5th.
Oh, dear. Well, I'll take anything I can get. That's okay.
And then the poker event is Saturday, March 5th, 6 o'clock at Bally's. It is part of the World Series of Poker, so there's lots of other poker tournaments going on there at the same time.
So, in closing this week, obviously, we have, a minute left, Ethan? I think we're about at that end. We've dealt with education. We've dealt with, this week, we're going on to aiding children in hospitals around the country, and we brought you Tia's Hope this morning, and I think a fantastic organization, which I know is going to do very good things. And, thank you for joining us this morning, Jess.
Thank you.
I mean, really, I think when you help a child that is helpless, there are so many ways in the world where a child has has a healthy state of mind or being, and we don't really see the other side of it. We don't see the hospitals. We don't see, and to really understand what that is important for people, because who knows? Next week, my child might go in hospital, or somebody else's might. So they need to know what these things are and how to get help. So thank you for doing that.
You're very welcome.
And thank you to all the listeners this morning who have joined us. Thanks to Bev for bringing us the updates. John, thank you for, as usual, bringing us a Hero of the Week.
My honor as always, and thanks to Jen for taking time to come on today.
Yes, thank you, Jen. Thank you. So for the rest of you, as we always do, we'll finish with a quote. This is an unknown quote. This is a very poignant quote, I think, for what we've been discussing today. Life brings tears, smiles, and memories. The tears dry, the smiles fade, but the memories live forever. This is Adrian Paul and Ethan Dettenmaier. We'll talk to you again.
You're listening to Peace Fund Radio with Ethan Dettenmaier and Adrian Paul, right here on LA Talk Radio.